Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something absolutely crucial, the invisible threats that are literally bypassing traditional defenses right under our noses in modern digital networks. You might sit there and think your network traffic is completely normal, but what you can't see is exactly where the real danger is hiding. So let's explore how network security absolutely had to evolve, and how a game-changing technology called App ID completely flipped the script.
Let's just dive right in with a pretty straightforward question. Do you really know what is passing through your network? And I don't mean what seems to be passing through, but what is actually happening behind the scenes. For a really long time, if we're being honest, the answer for most organizations was just a flat-out no, and that left them operating under a very dangerous illusion of false security.
To really understand this shift, we kind of have to look back. In the early days of the internet, things were simple. Applications functioned predictably on specifically assigned ports. You had FTP on 21, Telnet on 23, SMTP on 25. It was super organized, totally predictable, and functioned a lot like assigned room numbers in a giant office building. You knew exactly what was inside based on the number on the door.
Because of that predictability, early firewalls operated as really simple gatekeepers. It was totally binary. Port open, access allowed. Port closed, access blocked. The firewall literally never bothered to check the true identity of the data packet coming through. It only verified the port number. And you know what? For a while, that was totally fine. It was enough.
But then, the entire landscape shifted, and it was all thanks to ports 80 and 443. Developers got smart. They realized a simple but incredibly powerful workaround. If they routed applications through standard HTTP and HTTPS ports, they could bypass those legacy firewalls entirely. And because these base internet ports absolutely cannot be blocked without just breaking a company's internet access, they became the ultimate camouflage.
And that led to a massive invisible problem. Applications basically just stopped using their assigned ports and started tunneling through the exact same traffic flow as everything else. So a legacy firewall just looks at it, sees standard HTTPS traffic, and waves it right through. But hidden inside that exact same flow, well, that could be a legitimate corporate system, sure. Or it could be a massive data leak, or even a critical threat.
The legacy firewall had absolutely zero idea what was actually inside that traffic. It's exactly like a security guard who sees someone walking up in a delivery uniform and just lets them in without ever stopping to ask who the person really is. Relying on that old port-based security became a completely unacceptable blind spot. We urgently needed a radically different approach to network visibility.
Which brings us to Section 1, the App ID revolution.
Introduced by Palo Alto Networks, App ID changed the fundamental question. Instead of asking what port is being used, it asks what exactly is this application. And to figure that out, it doesn't just glance at the surface, not at all. It does a deep dive. It observes traffic patterns, recognizes distinct signatures, decodes protocols, analyzes behavior, and it even inspects encrypted traffic. Even if an app is actively trying to hide or disguise itself, App ID definitively nails down what it is.
Now, this capability triggers the absolute biggest shift in security mindset we've ever seen. We call it the move to a positive security model. See, previously, security was entirely reactive. You were always just trying to stop known bad traffic. But honestly, that's a losing battle against constantly evolving unknown threats. The positive security model totally flips this on its head. Instead of endlessly chasing the bad guys, you proactively define exactly what is permitted. You allow only trusted applications to pass, and absolutely everything else is blocked by default. It's a simple concept, but it is extremely powerful.
And App ID goes way beyond just identification. It actually gives you granular control over what happens inside the application itself. You're shifting from just controlling ports to controlling actual behavior. So for example, you can allow your users to access a specific platform, but strictly block their ability to upload any files to it. That is real granular control over your digital environment.
All right, let's move right into Section 2, real control with user ID.
Because here's the thing, identifying the application is really only half the battle. You also desperately need to know who is actually sitting behind the keyboard. In the past, firewalls were practically blind to humans. They just saw random IP addresses. But with user ID, the firewall suddenly sees actual reality. It sees specific users, it sees distinct groups, it sees corporate profiles. It's a complete 180 from those old machine-focused logs to modern, human-centric visibility.
So when you smash together the application visibility of App ID with the human visibility of user ID, You create this completely new security philosophy, and it's built on 3 essential layers. Step 1, you define exactly who can use something. Step 2, you define exactly which application they are allowed to use. And Step 3, you dictate exactly what they can do inside it. In the real world, this means everyone at the company might be allowed to view an app, but only a highly specific, trusted group can actually upload files, while maybe another group is completely blocked from even seeing it exists.
The real-world impact of combining these 2 approaches, it fundamentally transforms how you protect your network. By controlling specific behaviors based on human identity, you drastically shrink your attack surface. You're exposing far fewer applications, and you leave way fewer possible intrusion paths open for the bad guys. You move from frantically chasing threats all day to simply dictating the rules of the game right from the very start.
But honestly, perhaps the greatest change here is the evolution of the questions we ask ourselves. We've officially moved away from that dangerously obsolete question of what port is open. The new modern standard is a much more proactive stance. Now we ask, which app do I trust and who should use it? Because in today's wild digital world, the absolute biggest risk is what passes by entirely unnoticed.
And so, we wrap up by totally flipping our opening premise. Once you learn to truly see what is happening in your network, you can finally begin to truly protect it. I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on for your own networks. Which application do I trust, and who should really be using it? Once you can definitively answer that, you've officially moved from the mere illusion of security to having real, absolute control. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, keep asking the right questions about your network.